where horror lies.
Guys, Rob from Georgia here with you. I'm your regular Wednesday evening host here at BodyBags. It is week 448. It is theme week. It is Price, Cushing, Lee kind of a week, right? So I decided to run with a movie from 1977. One of my favorite all-time actors of this specific trio has got to be Peter Cushing. It's got to be. And in 1977, of course, he was very, 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 very gracious to join Ken Wiederhorn's production of maybe a little known movie. I don't know. Maybe not in our circles, but we are talking Shockwaves from 1977. This is the Blue Underground DVD release. I mean, it is probably the best, aside from the Blu-ray, it is probably the best release you are ever going to get of this movie. And when I say ever, I mean ever. Apparently, the original negative was lost, and the only way Blue Underground was able to do this specific release was by borrowing a film from the director in his own personal collection. I'm not sure what shape that film was in. Now, the film was shot on 16 millimeter, and so it's obvious that when you put this in, one, I mean, it doesn't look that bad, but I mean, you can tell this hasn't, it's not like Blue Underground had a chance to go back to the original negative, clean it up, and bring it to its absolute best, and then, give us an outstanding release. For what they had and worked with, it's a pretty outstanding release. I don't usually do this, but I got a real kick just kind of looking at the back of this thing. And so here we go, a little bit of Shockwaves. In the dark days of World War II, the Nazi High Command ordered its scientists to create a top secret race of indestructible zombie stormtroopers, unliving, unfeeling, unstoppable monstrosities that killed with their bare hands. They were known as the Death Corps. No member of this horrific SS unit was ever captured by Allied forces, and somewhere off the coast of Florida, they have survived. So basically here you got John Carradine also heads the cast on this. He is the captain of the boat. He's got some tourists with him, one of which, his main guy who helped steer the boat there, Luke Halpin. If you know, Luke Halpin is who he was the little kid in Flipper, right? But you got John Carradine. He plays the captain of the boat. He doesn't last a whole long time in this movie. And then, of course, Peter Cushing. He is the SS commander who basically has been hiding out on this deserted island for eons, since the end of World War II, when it became, the war was coming to an end. And so he had developed a specific aspect of this Death Corps that was suited best for underwater activities. And so, knowing that the war was coming over, he decided to sink the ship off the coast of this island and basically hide out in his mansion that was built on this island, and live out the rest of his days. And well, here comes this boat along, and I don't know, it's weird because it's not like they just run aground and wander onto the island and create havoc and raise things up. This has got a little bit of a supernatural bent to it. There's a point where suddenly the sun gets really, really hazy, and there's, sort of a distorted color change, and they're all sort of spellbound, not knowing what's going on. And in the midst of all of this, somehow the ship that has been sunk by our beloved Peter Cushing character, the SS commander, has lifted itself, its ruins has lifted itself up topside. And so this boat crashes into it, and they have no choice but in the morning to go on shore and see if there's anyone that lives on this island or any way that they can get help or something. And so while they're on this island, they make their way. I think one of the characters is climbed up a tree, and he sees the steeple of sorts, or the top part of this mansion that's sort of I don't know, just hidden inside the jungle on this island. And so they make their way to there, and when they do, it doesn't take long before Peter Cushing's character finally makes himself relevant to what is happening on the island. And at first, he's not too happy that he's got some trespassers on his island. And but when he realizes that his deathcore experiment has come to life, he realizes that no one's probably getting off this island alive. And so he'll tell them the story and his part in it. And basically at first tells them, you got like, yesterday to get off this island. And of course, when they're unable to, he's like, well, as one of my favorite characters from the old Dark House said, the misfortune is yours. And so it does become theirs. It's pretty, it's a fun movie, man. It is a slow burn. It is a PG. I do believe on the back of this is funny. This is rated R, but yet when you watch the old TV spots or you see the old ads in newspapers, compliments on some of the extras actually on this Blue Underground release. It's clearly evident that the movie was released to the public as a PG movie, and there is absolutely nothing in this movie that warrants anything above a PG. It is as tame as they come, but it is definitely got some high points. These shock troops or death corps, these Nazi zombies, they, like I said, they've been prepared to walk, to fight underwater. They have been resurrected from the dead, and so they are dead. And so the only thing they need is they need to wear these goggles over their eyes, and if you pull the goggles off, then that seems to pretty much kill them. And I don't think there was any real explanation as to that per se, but they are pretty intimidating looking. I mean, anything Nazi-like, right? I mean, you think of Death Snow and any of these movies that showcases a zombie in a or a Nazi who has become zombified. Because we know the history, we know the past history of what these Nazis did, and so now you've just elevated, the things, sort of speak, by making them Nazis. And so it is pretty intimidating, and but it is great. And the cinematography, man, it just was shot for like $200,000, and it's amazing because Peter Cushing almost simultaneously, I'm not sure if he wrapped up production with Shockwaves first and then rolled on into Star Wars, or if he finished up Star Wars and rolled on into Shockwaves. Either way, he'll go on, of course, as Tarkin, all right, on Star Wars. But his performance in this movie, man, is definitely commanding. He has a real presence. And for the short time he's with us, Carradine actually has a real commanding performance. And how you get these two guys in a movie that basically is under $200,000. Now, that's the other thing. They shot this movie on different locations, right down in Miami, Florida, near a swamp. And then there's an island where the wreckage is actually, in real life, the wreckage is. And so, I mean, you would never know it, though. I mean, the editing is freaking outstanding. You would never know this movie was shot in multiple places like it was. It's pretty outstanding. So for $200,000, man, this is, if this ain't a cult classic, I don't know what is. Funny, too, I visited the George A. Romero Museum in Evans City, Pennsylvania. And they had this character, this Nazi zombie, in that museum, which I know I got pictures of, which is pretty cool. But anyway, so it is definitely, as it says here, the best of the Nazi zombie movies. It may be. I mean, it is a great movie. It is a great movie. Brooke Adams also is in this thing. Yeah, aka Death Corps, it was known as. Releases the 21 September 1977. And it's got a great cast, man. It's got a great cast. And when these people end up stranded on this island and they start trying everything they can to get off this island, they're not going to get off, right? They're not going to get off. And so there's sort of a supernatural bent to it. And yeah, it's grounded in a pretty darkened reality, man. I mean, because this is the byproduct of, you know, World War II engineering, right? This is just another one of Hitler's, not even really his per se, but the military's programs in order to win this war. And and if anything, I mean, the movie really does lend itself to just moving your imagination along with it, you know, and just wanting to know more about the story behind this. And it really probably is pretty amazing that this was never remade. This could potentially be a pretty awesome movie remade if the right hands got a hold of it and enough money went into it. Shoot, you could even not remake it, but just create a sequel, because how this movie ends lends itself to that as well. Either way, but I'm really surprised that it's too bad the negative's been lost, because we'll never see a 4K restoration or just a 4K release of it. But without that negative, you're just not going to be able to do what you need to do to make that kind of release. So if you ever wondered why Shockwaves hasn't rolled off of Blue Underground's 4K restoration or, you know, releases, that's why, unfortunately. So anyways, I think I'll just go ahead and wrap it up there. For theme week, it is Peter Cushing. Same year, he gets his iconic role as Tarkin in Star Wars. He's an SS commander who is leading who has helped create a Death Corps, who will manage to come to life and wreak havoc one last time. And the way the movie ends, again, it's left open-ended, so any filmmaker, anytime with a creative mind, could always revisit this material and really create something pretty awesome out of it. But Shockwaves, 1977, Peter Cushing. It is Cushing Lee Price week. All week long, we'll see these movies drop. And a lot of old school stuff, I'm sure. Audio commentary, TV spots, radio spots. Radio spots are always the best. Poster stills, all that wonderful stuff. And an interview with Luke Halpin from Flipper to Shockwaves, which is pretty funny. But yeah, good release, man. Really cheap. I mean, I don't know, $12 on Amazon. If you don't have this in your collection and you do collect DVDs, and you don't see the Blu-ray, definitely this is absolutely so well worth having in your collection. Shockwaves from 1977. As always, we'll end with Go Bills.
This is not a dream. Not a dream.